Don't hate me, everyone. I've been trying to figure out a way to do paragraph 20. Read like the 30-point document to y'all's and do it in less than 30 minutes. Impossible. First and foremost, it's 30 points already. So it would just be me reading it. There would be no commentary. So I'm going to ask you a favor. I'm going to ask you to check out a different playlist that I need to continue for y'all. And it's this one. I need you to go to the Blake Lively 30-point document series. You go to my channel, you click on podcast, you choose the Blake Lively 30-point document series. I need to continue this series, but this is important to check out. So what we're going to do instead in this video, 3B, is we're just going to continue to read skipping paragraph 20. We're replacing paragraph 20 with the Blake Lively 30-point document series. With that said, let's go to paragraph 21. At the end of the January 4 meeting, having discussed at length the details of concerns that had been expressed by Ms. Lively and others, the parties agreed to implement and follow the protections for return to production to ensure that the film could be completed, marketed, and released safely and successfully. Oh, and the famous words. 3 words, and it was. And it was. Production of the film resumed on January 5 and concluded on February 9, 2024. As discussed below, the film has been a resounding success. Paragraph 22. As the cast and crew returned to production on January 14, 2024, Miss Lively reassured a female cast member that as a result of the protections that Wayfair and Sony had agreed to, you don't need to hug anyone this time. To which the female cast member responded with gratitude. Miss Lively continued that he won't touch you or shouldn't. I don't think he or Jamie Heath will. Miss Lively expressed her belief that it would be a professional set and we're getting good work. If you put together every reading I've done so far, this is part 3B, do you notice how many times she said a female cast member? And how many times that female cast member has just been Jenny Slate? Do you think that her lawyers wanted to make it seem like there were more than one? I think they did. But all of these text messages were Jenny Slate. Paragraph 23. Leading up to and in connection with the release of the film during the summer of 2024, Miss Lively and fellow cast members promoted the film in accordance with the marketing plan created and delivered by the film's distributor, Sony, which is summarized in the talking points attached here too as Exhibit C. My question to you, Blake, is when do you think summer starts? When does summer of 2024 start? Because you say that it was in accordance to the marketing plan created and delivered by the film's distributor, Sony. How convenient is it that you leave off maximum effort? Maximum effort loves to take credit when it works out for them, right? They don't like to take credit when it doesn't work out for them. But they were doing stuff for this movie that you were leading, according to Sony, in the summer of 2024. So, convenient omission, intentional omission, I would say so. Miss Lively and other cast members were under a contractual obligation to engage in media, press, marketing activities, and render promotional services in accordance with the marketing plan. Interesting, Blake, because you thought that you could use that as leverage, right? Even in your August 2023 text to Warren, right? You were already kind of saying, well, if I can't get behind this, I might pass on this whole thing. I'm not going to promote. And now suddenly we had to promote? We were contractually obligated? With what contract that you did not sign? The marketing plan directed the cast to focus more on Lily's strength and resilience as opposed to describing the film as a story about domestic violence. It says focus more, Blake. It said focus more. It didn't say don't focus on it at all. And it was annoying when Brandon would try to say a meaningful answer and you would actually cut him off. You looked uncomfortable with him actually taking the question seriously. When the other cast members were not around you, Blake, they answered the questions around domestic violence. I don't think that was a Sony thing. I think that was a Blake thing. Because if it wasn't a Blake thing, how come we had such good sound bites of the other cast members and the other people like Alex Sachs and Christy Hall and Colleen Hoover? even. They could talk about it, you could not. Why? And they kept it nice and light and fluffy for you when you were in the room with them. But they were very capable and knew how to talk about it. So I don't think it's a marketing plan. It was just you. And that's why you got the backlash that you did. And to avoid talking about the film that makes it feel sad or heavy. It's a story of hope. Yeah, it's a story of hope. That is true. How can you have hope without the opposite? I thought you're all about the multitudes, Blake. The drama, the levity, the this and the trauma and the this and the blah, da, 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 da. But you couldn't handle having something that had a little complexity to it in the way you discussed it. Wayfair endorsed this plan. In an email to Sony on August 11, 2024, Mr. Heath described the marketing of the film to date as brilliant and fantastic and noted that we are not saying it's been inappropriately marketed in any way. Way to cherry pick the email, Blake. Way to cherry pick the email. I was trying to find the email from Jamie Heath because I know that that's a butchering of what he said. There is a smidgen of it in the timeline, but it's not at all the full email. And so I was trying to find the full email, but this is how it is fuller in the, slightly fuller in the timeline. It says, to be clear, we're not saying it's been inappropriately marketed in any way. In fact, you've all been brilliant. Thank you. Extremely honored to be partners with you. It's been fantastic. The proof is in the pudding. This post is only pointing to the ones who have spoke about the marketing. And while I'm not dissuaded by their commentary, it's good to take some learnings from it. Now, the thing about Jamie Heath is sometimes he cushions things too much. That sometimes he just needs to say it without doing all this flowery, like, it's kind of like, I think he does the sandwich method, say some little praise, say the hard stuff in the middle, and then say, and sometimes that confuses people. Sometimes you just got to say the thing, you know what I mean? Paragraph 24. In the days leading up to the film's release, Mr. Baldoni abruptly pivoted away from the film's marketing plan and the types of publicity activities in which he had previously participated. What the public did not know was that Mr. Baldoni and his team did so in an effort to explain why many of the film's cast and crew had unfollowed Mr. Baldoni on social media and were not appearing with him in public. To that end, he and his team used domestic violence survivor content to protect his public image as described in further detail below. So this particular paragraph is just full of errors or complete, just straight up lies and misleading stuff. Because at the end of the day, Justin Baldoni, when he reached out to Colleen Hoover, made it clear that the reason he wanted this movie was because he believed he could help change lives for domestic violence survivors by putting their story on screen. Whether or not Colleen Hoover was the correct vehicle, I'm pretty sure people disagree with that choice. But that was the heart of Justin Baldoni. And there was a letter that Justin Baldoni read to the crew to remind them why they were doing this movie. And he read that before the movie started. He also talked about domestic violence back in the May 2024 interview. When he was doing the flower arrangements and all that stuff with the influencers, sure, he did those pieces. But when he was getting interviewed with Colleen, he openly spoke about that. And the interviewer said, oh, I didn't even know. I didn't realize that's what this book had, But he talked about that May 2024. That's literally June, July, August. That's 3 months prior to this sudden change. There's no sudden change. There has always been discussions from day one that they wanted to make sure that domestic violence was highlighted and that they were going to be able to give a portion, 1%, to an organization that was going to help domestic violence survivors. Paragraph 25. Other cast members contemporaneously observed Mr. Baldoni's pivot as it was happening. For example, a female cast member lamented to Miss Lively in a text on August 10, 2024, that Mr. Baldoni's marketing pivot was jeopardizing the success of the film and opined that the pivot would not work because it would eventually come out that Mr. Baldoni was using domestic violence commentary to cover his own behavior. As far as I know, whoever this female cast member was, Blake Lively did not turn in this text message. One of the things they say in the beginning of this lawsuit is that every single person that's cited in here, their text messages would be turned over. So unless I missed it, somebody correct me if I am wrong. Please fact check me. I did not see the text message from this female cast member. There was nothing on August 10th, 2024 that said this. Why is this in here if she was not going to hand over the text? Paragraph 26. What the public also did not know was that this was the beginning of a multi-tiered plan that Mr. Baldoni and his team described as social manipulation designed to destroy Miss Lively's reputation. That plan was backed by virtually unlimited resources. Wayfair's co-founder, co-chairman, and leading financier is multi-billionaire Steve Sarowitz, who divulged to a witness at the film's New York premiere on August 6, 2024, that he was prepared to spend $100 million to ruin the lives of Miss Lively and her family. Well, the supposed witness is Danny Greenberg. And did Danny Greenberg back up Blake Lively's version of events? He says this. The question that he was asked was, do you remember anything in particular that Mr. Sarowitz said, his exact words? And Danny said, for instance. Then he was asked, well, did Mr. Sarowitz tell you that he was prepared to spend $100 million to ruin the lives of Miss Lively? Danny Greenberg, under oath, says, no, he did not say that. Question, did he say anything similar to that? Danny responds, he said that, if I remember correctly, when I used the word publicist, his response to that is, that's fine, but you know, I have lawyers, and in the event I need to, and this becomes a legal situation, I'm prepared to spare no expense. He didn't mention anything about money, and again, it just sort of seemed in character, but my analysis was that it was purely defensive and that he had no intention of doing anything. It sounded like it was a little bit hubris and a little bit like, let me know if I need to do something, I will. Let me know if I need to engage or whatever. And so that was the last time I spoke to him. There's a reason that line is not in quotes. And just because she bolded it and italicized it doesn't make it any more of a quote. It's another one of those things that Blake Lively wants to be technically true, contextually false. And frankly, I'm being generous because it's not even technically true. Paragraph 27. That was not the only time Mr. Sarowitz made such a threat. Later in August 2024, even though the film had turned out very well and Wayfair had made a lot of money on it, Mr. Sarowitz confessed to another witness, Claire Ayub, as we know, an individual who was working with Wayfair on an unrelated project. I don't remember what the project name was, but I know that Claire Ayub was the director. That if Miss Lively or Mr. Reynolds ever cross the line ever, then I will go after them. Well, Blake, even that quote itself says that you have to do something first. And guess what? You did. He declared, I will protect the studio like Israel protected itself from Hamas. There were 39,000 dead bodies. There will be 2 dead bodies when I'm done. Minimum, not dead, but you're dead to me. So that kind of dead, but dead to a lot of people. If they ever get me to that point, then I'll make it their while, because I'm going to spend a lot of money to make sure the studio is protected. Blake Lively, in her deposition, tried to make it sound like she really feared for her life, when he literally says here that not dead, but you're dead to me. So that kind of dead. Blake Lively knew exactly what she was doing. She knows how controversial this topic is. And so she knew that this would cause division, potentially. And that's what she wanted to do. And as long as people got split on this whole situation, then it would minimize them investigating whether or not the things that she's saying in her lawsuit was true or not. This quote changed nothing about her lack of evidence for the things that she claimed. Paragraph 28. Supported by Mr. Sarowitz's financial backing and militaristic worldview, Mr. Baldoni and his Wayfarer associates embarked on a sophisticated press and digital plan in retaliation for Miss Lively exercising her legally protected right to speak up about their misconduct on the set, with the additional objective of intimidating her and anyone else from revealing in public what actually occurred. My question to you, Blake Lively, is you said to Megan Twohey that you were never, ever, 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 ever planning to make it public. That the only reason that you did it was because of this alleged smear campaign. And that you felt like the alleged smear campaign was worse than the SH. So why would they engage in the thing that would make you speak up? The reality is what we see with the evidence is that you were attacking Justin Baldoni and he was protecting himself. We see too much of what you and your husband were doing behind the scenes with the help of Taylor Swift in some parts of it. We've read your text messages. You can't hide that from us anymore. Blake, you can never find one ill thing that Justin Baldoni said of you publicly. You were the only one that demanded other people to know you weren't a wonderful person. Justin Baldoni would have allowed us to believe that you were. We would not have been the wiser. You forced the hand to expose yourself, and that's on you. And for you to say that he was trying to intimidate you and anyone else from revealing in public what actually occurred, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think you were trying to keep us from knowing what actually occurred. And you've been doing that throughout this case. The amount of things you put behind black boxes that were stupid, as we all know what the stupid one is, people can put it in the comment section. They know exactly the line I'm thinking of right in my brain right now. If they've been watching my content for a really long time, you know exactly what comment I think is the stupidest comment that they redacted. So no, Blake, I don't believe you whatsoever that they were trying to intimidate you into silence, as if they could. We sat through your word salad. Okay, no one could shut you up. Only you can shut you up. But either way, why would they choose to do the very thing that prompted you to do something? They were on defense, and you know that. Paragraph 29 on July 31, 2024, following the recommendations of their publicist Jennifer Abel, Wayfair and Mr. Baldoni retained a crisis communications specialist named Melissa Nathan and her company, the Agency Group PRLLC, TAG. Ms. Nathan delivered a proposal to Mr. Baldoni, which included a website to discuss, full Reddit, full social account takedowns, full social crisis team on hand for anything, engage with audiences in the right way, start threads of theories, discuss this is the way to be fully 100% protected. Ms. Nathan also proposed the creation of social fan engagement to go back and forth with any negative accounts, helping to change narrative and stay on track. Per Miss Nathan, all of this will be most importantly untraceable. What's funny is that line was not even part of Melissa Nathan's original text message. She added that after the fact. She edited the text message just to add this line that became infamous. As Miss Abel described it, the plan was to engage in social media mitigation and proactive fan posting to counter the negative as well as social manipulation. As we know, Blake Lively has found many a things for potential smear campaigns, but does nothing for herself. Paragraph 30, this plan went well beyond standard crisis PR. What Ms. Nathan proposed included a practice known as astroturfing, which has been defined as the practice of publishing opinions or comments on the internet, in the media, etc., that appear to come from ordinary members of the public, but actually come from a particular company or political group. I will tell you right now, Blake Lively, that Reddit post claiming that Justin Baldoni was a cult leader and wanted to be the face of the Baha'i faith like Tom Cruise was of Scientology. I'm telling you, after reading your text messages and reading Ryan's text messages, I'm fairly sure y'all planted that. Because how in the world did that person know all your talking points that you only texted to your friends? We're going to stop there. If you happen to enjoy this video and you want to see more, please like this video and subscribe to me if you have not subscribed to me yet. All right. See you in the next one. Thanks.